We were sitting in a group in a room, and the atmosphere was very tense. And suddenly one of the persons said something, very humorous, and it actually lightened the entire mood in the room. So it's an advantage to have a good sense of humor.
Always. Every humor is appreciated. And it's a bomb diffusing device. Something explosive is about to happen in a tense room, as you described, and here the person comes and diffuses the bomb with a one-liner or a humorous gimmick. So yes, it's a good thing to have a sense of humor.
And person with this trait, as it's basically an art.
100%. Everything is an art. Whatever you are good at is your art. Every human being is capable of displaying his art in whatever field he is good at. And it's not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, people think that anybody and everybody can be humorous.
Yeah,
That's not true.
Like it's not everybody's cup of tea to laugh at your own self.
That's a different facet of humor. Yeah. When you say humor, the pure humor is one which hurts nobody. But you will see many a times humor is at the expense of somebody. So there is a party that is being targeted to make a group smile, laugh, happy. So that kind of humor is not pure humor.
There are people who take it personally, and they're not always in that mood to listen to good humor, probably because of the backgrounds they must be having, or
there is always a background. The entire universe is a background. You and I are living in a background of the universe. So there is always a background. How that background has impacted your growth will determine your response. So if somebody is of a serious disposition and he has been cultivated in a background which is do things in a very stoic manner, in a very long-faced manner, and you try to crack a joke in front of that person, he will dismiss it. He will say, why are you wasting time? Yeah, काम करो, काम के लिए आए हो, time pass के लिए नहीं आए हो. So people will interpret it differently. So humor has its place. The very subject of humor is based on timing. If you see good comedians or people with good sense of humor, even good speakers who speak humorously, they have a fantastic sense of timing.
yeah.
That's why we say punchline. The delivery has to be spot on. Even in a small informal group, you will have a friend who can narrate a joke which makes the whole group laugh. And you ask another person to tell a joke, the same joke, and everybody, हाँ आगे क्या हुआ? अच्छा ऐसा हुआ? अरे joke खत्म हुआ, हंसो. He has to tell you that he's finished the joke and then you have to laugh. He has no sense of humor. He doesn't have a sense of timing. He doesn't know how to narrate the joke. So there are various facets. As you rightly said, it's an art, and every art has a technique. Not everybody is a master of technique. Some are formally trained and some are inborn with it, or some get cultivated along the way. You see some of the famous comedians. I mean, take Johnny Lever, for example. Probably he was born with that sense of humor.
So given this background, how do we use humor?
Depends on what you want to use the humor for. If you are designed to entertain an audience, then you have to plan your humor, because it's a show. It has to be scripted, it has to be planned. Many of these commercial shows are well scripted and well planned. Some humor is spontaneous. It happens on the spot, like you described, that you were sitting in a tense situation and somebody made a humorous remark and it lightened the mood. So it is spontaneous. How to use humor? There are good ways and there are sinister ways. I'm saying sinister because humor can be extremely hurtful and sarcastic.
Yeah.
I can apparently make a very smiling remark which makes people feel ki kya joke mara, and it might be a barb which is deliberately intended to hurt somebody. Yeah.
At somebody's expense.
So you are cracking a joke at somebody's expense. Humor can be very insensitive in terms of, like you will see some people mimic a person with a lame leg. He is a lame person with a bad leg. So they will mimic that person's walk, which is distasteful actually, if you ask me. So, but some people find a lot of humor in that kind of activity. The most common one you will see on stage is people stammer. Now, stammering is a defect. It's a physical defect, but people have converted it into an entertainment activity at the expense of the person who has that defect. So again, to my mind, that's not a very humorous thing. That's a very distasteful presentation, because you are having fun at the expense of somebody who is suffering. He must be finding it awkward. Imagine that guy appearing for an interview and stuttering and stammering in answering the panel of interviewers. He will probably land up in a job which is less than what he deserves, simply because he doesn't have the fluency in communication because of his stammering defect. And you will see such people who are stammering, they will always have an inferiority complex in mixing around with people. Now you as a humorist are taking advantage of that person's defect and creating an image of yourself as a great humorist or a comedian in another group of people who have not suffered what this person has suffered. So humor can be used in a good way for entertainment, and humor can be used in a bad way when it hurts a category. You see there were jokes on Sardarjis.
Yeah.
There still are. A lot of jokes are created on Sardarjis. Now, the non-Sardarji community will probably laugh. Think of the Sardarjis. I mean, they will take it sportingly. You'll have a lot of Sardars who crack jokes on Sardarjis. So they take it sportingly. But I don't think that's in good taste. Or you talk about the Tamilians, the lungiwalas, jokes. There are jokes made on attire, or jokes made on the pronunciations. Yam, yan. So it hurts a particular group of people, and you are enjoying at the expense of somebody. That, to my mind, is not a very decent humor.
But it is, I think, to generate humor also, it is a very serious job actually.
It is a serious activity. You will, if you see 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗀, the whole theme of that movie is I am making the world laugh, but internally I am having a very sad life.
Tough life,
So jokers is a facade. A joke is a facade. It hides something. Behind the smiling face, there is a lot of pain. Many a times you will see that there is a lot of pain that makes you. I don't know if you have read Charlie Chaplin's history. Yeah. So you will see that people who appear to be humorous, there is a background to that.
Now, whatever we have discussed so far, now, if the humor is created at my expense and I don't feel, I feel hurt, so how do I respond, or how do I handle this situation?
Hire a Sardarji. Sardarjis are the best examples of how to take humor cracked at their expense.
Right.
No, there was this story of earlier in Mumbai, most of the taxi drivers were Sardarjis. When we were kids, as growing up, most of the taxi drivers were Sardarjis. So the story goes like this, that 3 collegians had hired a cab driven by a Sardarji, and they were all cracking jokes, Sardar jokes. And this cab driver was driving very peacefully, took them to the destination, took the money. And while he was handing over the change to these 3 guys, he says, आपके जोक सुन के बहुत मजा आया, लेकिन एक चीज पे आपको गौर करना है. आप जाके रिसर्च करिए, आपने कभी सरदार जी को रास्ते पे भीख मांगते हुए देखा है क्या? This simple statement shocked these 3 people. And I read this article written by one of those 3. He says, from that day onwards, I became conscious of not cracking Sardar jokes. because I have never seen a Sardarji begging on the street. Khuddar kaum hai. They will earn their livelihood, and yet we crack jokes on them. They are not dumb as the jokes depict them to be. They are highly intelligent, they are highly industrious, and they take the knock straight on the chin without getting offended or violent because jokes are being cracked on them. So there's a great lesson to take from that community.
Now, being humorous is a positive trait. Yes, I also met my wife, because I had a very strong humor creating those tendencies. So, but if someone who does not have it, so how does one inculcate that, or how does it try to get into the mode of even I can create humor?
Are you trying to do matchmaking for your son or daughter? So maybe that's why you're asking this question now, because it's too late for you to now inculcate any humor. You already got a wife, unless you have some other plans. Everybody has a speciality in some field. Yeah, everybody can't become a doctor, everybody can't become an engineer, everybody can't become an artist. Humor is an art. Everybody can't become a humorist. What you can become is an appreciator of humor. I can't sing, but I can appreciate good singing. I don't understand music, but I can appreciate good music. So, the best way to learn something about humor is learn to appreciate. Then the offense factor is reduced.
Yeah.
If you have an inborn talent, then cultivate it. Cultivate it by practicing it. The only way to sharpen any of your skill is by practicing it. Practice it formally, practice it informally. Wherever you get the opportunity, practice it. Humor is meant to give joy. The ultimate objective of humor is joy. But if you use it as a weapon to hurt somebody, that's not on. So treat humor, it's like I'm having Shrikhand with a lot of red chili powder in it. How does it sound? Huh? So hurtful humor is something like that, crazy.
Yeah.